Irish business plan ahead with fixed unit rate electricity plans.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the show now. Some of the top executives from around the world have offered their expertise to help the Irish government out of our recession. But our government have yet to move on it, and that was over 6 months ago. The people offering their help free are mostly expats, and their descendants from major companies like Microsoft, Disney, Goldman Sachs and Intel. So why aren't they jumping at this chance? Joining me now to discuss this is the head of the Irish Technology Leadership Group in California, Mr. John Hartnett. John, you're very welcome to the programme.
Hi Bobby, delighted to be here.
Okay, John, you're a proud Irishman flying the Irish flag over there. Just briefly, just give us a small bit of background to your involvement with the Irish diaspora overseas.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I've lived outside of Ireland for the last 14 years in Silicon Valley, and I work with companies like Apple, AT&T, and I worked with, most recently with Palm, which is a smartphone PDA company, and I was number 2 there, running all the business worldwide. And during my time there, I've had, over the last 10 years, I've been helping young Irish companies break into the US, scene. And one of the things we did about 5 years ago was set up the Irish Technology Leadership Group, which is a group of Irish and Irish American executives that are primarily in the technology space and, again, willing to help Ireland's connection with Silicon Valley in the US.
Okay, and I believe you've over 4,000 members now, is that correct?
Yeah, there's over 4,000 members. We started it about 5 years ago there was about 15 in total, and some of the guys that would be part of that would be people like Barry O'Sullivan, who's Senior Vice President of Cisco, Rory McInerney, who's Vice President of R&D at Intel's headquarters in Santa Clara, Conrad Burke, who was CEO and founder of InnovaLight, which is now part of DuPont. So people of that caliber.
Okay. And these are all people of a very, very, at a very, very senior level, at Vice President and above, yeah?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Now, last October at the Irish Economic Forum in Dublin Castle, 100 top-ranking business chiefs from around the world, these people we're just talking about, offered to help to run state agencies free of charge. And can you confirm, John, that there's been no response from the government to this offer of help?
Yeah. So what has happened is, many of us, by the way, attended the local Irish Economic Forum in Dublin Castle 6 months ago, and I myself and a few of others also attended Farmley 2 years ago. So what we wanted to do was really offer a practical level of help instead of maybe coming here every other 2 years to participate in a think tank or discussion. We wanted to offer real practical help where we could really bring some of the expertise from outside of the US or outside of Ireland to areas where we could help, and particularly around areas of job creation and technology, areas where we're obviously very, very much in the mix. And initially, at the Global Irish Forum, there was a very positive response. In fact, I spoke with several members of the Department of Foreign Affairs, and also I met with the Taoiseach back in November last year after the Global Irish Forum. And again, there was enthusiasm associated with this. However, there hasn't been, an actual response to say, yes, it's a great idea, and here's how we're going to engage, and we're going to leverage all the assets that you have. And, so far there hasn't been that, that level of, yes, we want to move ahead. And, for me personally, and like for all people, like we're normal business people doing 100% jobs somewhere else in the world, and we're really doing this to try and help. We don't want to cause any disruption to the existing, ecosystem or system of setting up state boards. All we're really trying to do is help as being, people that come from Ireland and want to give back.
And John, these people and these groups of these individuals that you talk about, these wouldn't be people who'd be used to hanging around. I'm sure would they not be quite disappointed over this reaction?
Yeah, look, I think that many of us understand the challenges associated with, government agencies and state agencies, and how things work in terms of, it takes time to kind of make some of these type of decisions. On the other hand, this feels to us like a no-brainer that, it's something that, should be taken up on. And I think that, people that are, say, for example, Chris Booten, he's in San Francisco, he's the head of clean tech in McInerney, who I mentioned earlier, Rory heads up R&D for their enterprise chipsets. So to give you an idea, of top 500 supercomputers in the world, 450 of those processors have been developed by Rory's team. So these are leading world players.
Okay, John. Can I ask you about Maura Quinn? She's the Chief Executive of the Institute of Directors here. I just want to put to you a couple of things that she said. She did say that perhaps having someone available for conference calls is not as helpful as having someone in the room at the boardroom. She also said that people shouldn't be selected on the basis of being members of the diaspora. And she also said, well, I think more critically, that it tactically implied that there was a lack of suitably qualified people for state boards in this country. Can you comment on those three things that she said?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we were disappointed to see that type of response. Particularly, what we're trying to do. I think, Ms. Quinn needs to look at our website, ITLG.org, and on that she'll see the list of people that are there. In fact, a number of them are actually in Ireland already, so they don't have to travel. So people like Barry O'Sullivan, he is in Galway, and he's Senior Vice President of Cisco, running a multi-billion-dollar business. People like Paul Rellis, who's the head of Microsoft in Ireland, he has volunteered. And then there are people that are outside of Ireland, obviously, in Europe and in the US. And I understand in terms of being in a room and being part of a team and being able to have a good dialogue. I agree with that in many respects. On the other hand, this is a board that we're talking about. It's not like the actual management team that's working on a day-to-day basis, running a company. And, in my experience, being on several boards already, I do these over teleconference, video conference, or telepresence. I don't know if anybody's experienced telepresence, but it's like a face-to-face experience. And, if somebody was to take some of the advice that Ms. Quinn was giving in the US, we wouldn't have boards in the US because many of the board members in Silicon Valley, for example, are coming from the East Coast, 3,000 miles away. So they travel for the board meetings, and the distance between New York and California is no different between New York and Dublin.
And as we say, these are technology people. They're well used to conference board meetings and all the technology that goes with it, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's face it, Facebook, Apple, Google, Intel, Microsoft, do you think that all these boards that are running these companies are all from one little area, within a 300-mile radius? Of course they're not. They're from all parts of the world, and specifically all parts of the US, thousands of miles, and they all leverage teleconference and telepresence capability, as well as obviously traveling. It's part of the job here,
John, if we're to get over this, I suppose, emotional roadblock, to call it something, but just if we were to get over this impasse, what could these people, in your view, bring to, I suppose, Irish business firstly, and maybe more importantly, Irish society?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think at a number of levels, at a pure, let me take an example, right? Science Foundation of Ireland is determining, the roadmap of innovation for the country. And if we believe that, the recovery of Ireland is going to be based on Irish technology companies being successful, for example, if we have the next Google or Intel or Facebook out of Ireland, that could be a big, big deal. Well, somebody that comes from that industry sitting on that board could help Ireland's roadmap in terms of where it's going on technology. So say someone like Rory McInerney or someone like Barry O'Sullivan, people of that caliber, they could help in a really practical way. These are people that are designing the future of multi-billion-dollar companies. They could easily help, Ireland. So they're practical ways. I also think culturally, there's very much a can-do attitude in the US, and specifically in Silicon Valley, and it's a proven, place in the world where, it's the center of the world with regard to technology. I think practical, cultural experience would be a positive one in Ireland's current negative situation. And I also think that the experience of people working outside of Ireland that are running global businesses, setting up businesses in hundreds of countries around the world and running those and running, these type of businesses, they could really offer real scale, help, and depth in terms of what it takes to do business, anywhere in the world. And, I look at it very simply. In my days growing up in Ireland, the best thing that happened to Ireland's soccer team was Jackie Sharp starting when he reached out and brought in players from all over the world to play for Ireland, and it changed the face of Irish soccer forever. And this could change the face of Irish boards, and specifically the state board, forever.
Okay, so John, you're a proud flag-carrying Irishman representing Ireland at loads of different things, not only the Irish Technology Leadership Group, you're also involved in Irish Technology Capital, Hillary Clinton's Northern Ireland Working Committee. You're at the coalface of representing Ireland abroad. What do we do next here, just finally, because we've got to finish up now, but finally, what would you like to see happen next?
I'd like the government to embrace this initiative, specifically, either Taoiseach or Taoiseach should reach out and at least thank people, and if the offer isn't taken up, that's fine, but at least a response would be really, really appreciated. Okay, well, we'll see what we can do at this end, John, and thanks very much for talking to me, and good luck over there in California. Thanks, Bobby. John Hartnett there expressing his disappointment. So that's the end of our first hour of our new show. We'll be back after 10 looking at the papers with Mark Fielding. We're going to look at the business of animation in Ireland, and the CEO of taxback.com, Terry Clune, will give us his insights from our executive chair. Stay tuned.